you feel pain like no other pain. And you know that in your life, it's going to be very difficult.
Everything in Prince William's life seems to be going wrong all at the same time. Things were looking up for him for a while before, but now with Kate and Charles both having medical issues, this might be one of the most difficult times in his life so far. So how is he coping with his whole life pretty much falling apart, and what does this all actually mean for him? The whole royal family has been struggling recently. Two of the senior members of the family are currently dealing with health complications, and one of them is King Charles himself. So this can't be an easy time for anyone in the royal family, but there's one person who has to be hands down in the most difficult position out of everyone, and that's obviously William. First of all, the two people who are ill are his wife and his dad. That would be difficult enough on its own for anyone, but William is also now first in line for the British throne, and that just complicates things so much more for him. And then his whole life has turned upside down too, because Kate is recovering from her surgery. So all in all, that's William's whole life pretty much falling apart. He hasn't been making many public appearances since all the royal health news broke out, but he did attend a gala in early February, and he even gave a speech there. It was a charity gala for the London Air Ambulance, which is a charity that William supports, so it definitely was his royal duty to turn up and support the cause. But it was also the first time since Kate's surgery and Charles's cancer diagnosis that he appeared publicly. And even though he did a lot to hide it, it was obvious that he was having a difficult time. He even mentioned Kate and Charles in his speech. He thanked everyone for the well wishes that people had been sending to the royal family. He also said that it meant a lot to him to have so many people wish them recovery and support them during this difficult time. And then he went on and spoke about more stuff to do with the charity, but it's obvious that everything going on in his life right now has been taking a toll on him. It all started going downhill for him with Kate's surgery. Obviously, after the surgery, Kate's health had to take a priority, so William, as her husband, has been by her side even more than usual, and this has been especially true since she was released from the hospital. She spent almost 2 weeks there, but after that period, she relocated back home and has been continuing her recovery there, which means that William has had to be there to take care of her. Now, obviously, it's not like he's the only one doing that. This is the royal family we're talking about. They wouldn't leave Kate's health and comfort up to just William, who has a million other things to worry about at the same time, and he's still Kate's husband, and that means that he has to be there for her. He has to do things for her and shower her with love while she's recovering, and I'm sure he's happy to do all of that, but it obviously takes time and effort to be there for someone like that, and for William, this is only one of the things that are taking up all of his focus right now. Another part of everything is that he now has to carry more responsibility when it comes to the kids. It's no secret that he and Kate like to be very hands-on with their parenting. They do most of the parenting and everything that comes with it themselves. For example, they take the kids to and from school themselves, and normally the two of them split the duty so that Kate does some and William does some. But now that Kate is recovering, it's obviously just William left to do it all on his own, and to be fair, it's not like there aren't people helping him with the kids. For example, Kate's parents have reportedly been helping both with the kids and taking care of Kate, which is good because there's no way William would be able to carry the full weight of all of that alone, not with everything else he has going on. And obviously, on top of being really busy taking care of Kate, William also has to be worried about her. That's just another thing there to stress him out, although we don't actually know exactly what kind of surgery Kate had or why she needed it in the first place, so it's difficult to say how much the whole situation with her health would be worrying for William. But even if the cause of the surgery is nothing to worry about, there's still the fact that she's recovering from one, and that would be worrying for William regardless of anything else. But Kate isn't even the only one he has to be worried about right now, and I'm obviously talking about King Charles's cancer diagnosis right now. William's dad just got diagnosed with cancer, and while we don't know if Kate's medical condition is actually concerning, this definitely is. I mean, a cancer diagnosis is something that nobody wants to hear, and William just got the news about his dad. He can't be feeling good about it right now, but just like with Kate, William will also want to be there for his dad while he's ill, and that obviously will look really different from being there and taking care of Kate, because Charles Charles's condition is different and he'll need a different type of care than Kate most likely. But this is yet another thing that William has on his plate right now, just being there and helping his dad in whatever way is needed. And once again, this situation with Charles would be enough to really weigh on William on its own, but it's happening at the same time as the situation with Kate. So William has to balance all of it somehow, and his plate is definitely getting really full at this point. But there's actually another thing to do with Charles's cancer diagnosis that's complicating William's life even more, and that's obviously to do with the official royal duties. Basically, because Charles is sick now, he can't really be attending all his royal duties as the king, especially when it comes to meetings and appearances and generally just interacting with people, because based on official statements, the cancer treatment will be making his immunity weaker, so it won't always be safe for him to meet with people, especially not in large numbers. But obviously, that's the kind of thing that Charles does all the time as king, and those functions and meetings just won't magically go away because Charles can't attend now. At least most of them won't. I'm sure that some of his royal engagements can just be canceled or rescheduled for later, but for a lot of it, someone will have to go instead of Charles, and this will largely be William's job, although obviously not just his. It's not like he's the only working royal left who's able to attend a charity function. There's obviously Camilla, who will probably be taking on most of the appearances instead of Charles, but there's also Prince Edward and his wife Sophie, and of course Princess Anne. They will all handle the changes in the royal scheduling together, so it's not all just on William's shoulders, but part of it is, and it's just yet another thing he has to deal with. Not to mention that he actually has a whole other threat hanging over his head too. William's actually one of the counselors of state in the monarchy, which basically means he's one of the only people who would take over if the king just wasn't able to do his duties at all. Right now, Charles is actually still working. He's doing all his usual paperwork as well as his meetings with the prime minister, and that's a big part of his job as king even normally. So sources are saying that he's not planning to call on the counselors of state anytime soon, but that could change at any moment. Cancer treatment can be extremely exhausting. Charles is already in his 70s, so he'll have to be careful to not overwork himself, and if he does call on the counselors of state, that will mean they'll step in and take care of the king's job in his place. And obviously, William wouldn't be doing this alone. There are other counselors, a total of 5, including Camilla and Princess Beatrice. But with how much William is already doing right now, I just can't imagine him taking on any more duties. But that's exactly what he might have to do if Charles calls on the counselor. Hopefully, if that happens, Kate will have recovered by then and William will have a little more spare time for it all. But anyway, what do you guys think? What's your opinion on William's situation right now? Do you feel for him? Let me know in the comments below.